All right, guys, and we are live. I am waiting for Kellen to join us, but today we're going to talk about Kellen and what he does as a lender because working with a lender, if you're buying a home, is so important. And it's really the first step in purchasing a home. A lot of times when I'm holding an open house, uh, I will meet so many buyers that come in. Some people just want to know how like a house is decorated, which is fine. And then sometimes curious neighbors will want to come by, and sometimes curious neighbors are going to want to come by and just see the home, see what it's worth, see why they're selling, blah, blah, blah. So that can happen. But oftentimes people who are serious about buying, they don't talk to a lender first. And so they don't even know if they can afford their home that they're hoping to buy. So it's really important to talk to a lender before you start the home buying process. That way you know what you can afford, and then you can start house hunting. So that's what we're gonna be talking about with Kellen. If he can get here, no, he'll get here. It'll be great. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day. Here in Ventura, California, I don't know, I haven't spent a lot of time in other states in the summer, but here in Ventura, California, we tend to have fog, or like we're just bogged in May and June, and our weather in July, we're in July tomorrow. Our weather is like in the high 60s. So it's quite lovely and also pretty unusual for that to happen because I know that some other colleagues of mine are in Arizona and it's boiling. So I feel pretty fortunate to live here in Ventura. And if you're interested in living in a cooler climate, it can get a little bit tropical here. We get 3 weeks of brutal heat. It's so brutal in August. It's it gets really tropical and it's just hot, but you can't get away from it. And most of our homes do not have air conditioning. So we experience that. But for the most part, it's quite nice here. Would love for you to move to Ventura. Let's see what Kellen's doing right now. Okay, he's on his way. So I guess I can give you a market update. I spoke about it a couple days ago when I was speaking to Jessica Tenney. Oh, here he is. I'll give you a market update later. There you are.
Sorry about that. Just
That's okay.
detail
What's up?
on the audio. Hey, I like the guitars in the background. Are you gonna pull one of those out?
Nice. And Indiana Jones. No, I don't know how to play guitar. It's my husband.
Well, we need Travis to come in and play a little serenade a little bit for us.
I know, that would be great. Have some nice live music.
Yeah, a little
He actually
background.
just
That'd be
joined a
nice.
band, so
Oh, no way.
yeah.
What a stud. Man.
He he is a stud. I'm in his office well, our office, but he mostly uses it for his acting stuff, like auditions and then does his thing. But I have my little office here too, so we share it.
Great. Great. Nice.
How are you
Well,
doing?
great. Thanks so much for having me on. I am psyched to be here
Love
and
it.
excited to talk about real estate, mortgages, financing, home appreciation, all the good things. California.
Yep, California. I love California. It has its problems, but everywhere has their problems, I think. California
Yeah,
just more so. I think we're just blasted on the news so much.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fun talking point for the news, so you guys definitely get roasted quite a bit.
Yeah, we do. Well, Kellen, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you hail from, and why you became a lender.
Yeah. I I hail from the wonderful metropolis of Mesa, Arizona, and about 42 years ago, there was a man that started in mortgage lending, and that was my father. And growing up, I watched him do his thing, sling loans day in, day out. And I was like, man, that looks like the most boring job ever. And I was right. No, I'm just kidding. I love this job, but I did see him doing this growing up, and it was an awesome family centered job where he could come to all of our games and all of our performances and be able to show up and support in our classes or our young men's activities and church activities. So, and also allowed us to go on some fun family road trips and vacations and uh, made for a good lifestyle growing up. And so, when I finished college, I was working in software product development as a project manager and felt completely like I was in over my head. Like, man, these guys are wizards that were doing actual programming. And I was like, I am a roadblock from them actually putting out this software. And so and then COVID hit, and my dad's like, "Hey, come down, try your hand at this, see what you think." I was like, I'd shadowed him before I went to college, and I was like, "I've seen that, and it is boring." But I came down, tried it out, and fell in love with it. I didn't see the aspects of the consultations with individuals and walking them through their goals and not only short term for getting home, but long term of what do you want to do in 20 years and 50 years, and how should we leverage this current step to help you accomplish that? And so that's where I thrive and love being part of this industry, is the incredible potential that it has to help people grow wealth and set themselves up for success in the future.
Isn't it funny how that is where you're like, I don't think I'm going to go that direction. I'm going to go this direction. And then life just kind of happens and you find yourself in where you didn't think you'd be, but it worked out.
Oh, for sure.
Whoops. Oh,
Yeah.
I just fell.
And usually seems like better than you could have hoped for.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I never thought I'd be a real estate agent. I studied outdoor leadership.
yeah, yeah.
I
I mean, tell a little of your story. I don't know if you have already, but dude, you're like got to be one of the most interesting people I know. So, I mean,
ah,
starting with your husband being in a band, that should just
I know.
be the premise of, okay, Tina's got to be pretty cool then.
He's pretty fun. He's an actor and um but I my mom tried to keep me from going to college. She's like, "You don't need to go to college." And she sat me down and we looked at the computer 20 years ago and she went through all the people that didn't go to college but were very successful, such as Elon Musk. Well, no, not Elon Musk. There were just a bunch of people. I don't even remember. A lot of people that did not go to college but were rich. And she's like, you don't have to go
Yeah,
to college. But I was determined to go to college. I was also
which
determined, huh?
Oh, it just seems like that's definitely like a mindset of today that a lot of people have of like, hey, you don't need to go to college. So 20 years ago, that's impressive that she was, or just interesting that she was already leaning that way and pushing you that way. But continue.
I know. I know. And I was determined to go to college. I was going to actually learn I I wanted to be fluent in Hebrew. And I thought to myself, well, where do you learn that? And I knew nothing. So I'm like, I'm going to college to learn Hebrew.
And
So I
why
went,
Hebrew?
I love the language. It's so
Uh,
cool. I fell in love with it at junior college. It's just a really very cool language.
Yeah.
Um,
Something that you can
it's
just use on the street or,
oh, I
pick
could
up
use
with
it.
conversation with someone
Oh
on the
yeah,
subway. Yeah.
so easy to learn. And so many people to talk Hebrew with here in
Right.
California. Yeah, so I went to theology school. Or I went to a private school and learned theology and was so bored.
Very
And I'm
cool.
like, what am I doing? This is stupid. So I switched majors and got a degree in outdoor leadership and recreation and after I graduated, spent many years teaching surfing and taking people sea cave kayaking and backpacking, all the fun things that people love to do. And I was their guide. Um, but I got injured learning the trapeze. I got
Of
injured on a
course.
trapeze because
That
I,
that happens, yeah, often. Anytime I talk with somebody, it's like, yeah, you probably got if I see someone with a broken arm, it's like, yeah, you're probably on the trapeze. So yeah, makes sense.
well, I decided to make it a hobby of mine to learn all the things that people do in Cirque du Soleil.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah,
naturally.
and I got injured, so I couldn't really do all the fun things that I love to do anymore. And then went through
That's crazy.
such a yeah, I had such a wild journey of figuring out who I was and what I wanted, and it took longer than most. But I fell into real estate. My cousin encouraged me to do it, and it's been the coolest thing I've ever done, and I just love it. Never
That's
thought I'd
great.
do it.
Yeah, and you're the best of the best, so it's like, thank goodness you got injured on a trapeze so you could land where you need to be.
Absolutely. So I could help people find homes and maybe build a circus in their own house.
Yes, there we go. And take them sea cave kayaking
Have you seen
after you're
that?
closing the house.
Have you seen, there's this guy actually, I don't know if you've seen him. He converted his house into a circus of sorts where he has trapdoors in his floor,
Yeesh.
which you can open into like a ball pit, like a foam pit.
Okay,
You
okay.
can
So it's, like,
open the
not
ref
creepy, it's, like, fun.
it's for his kids. Like he
Okay. Like, if he's
converted
mad at
his
them, he's like, "Trapdoor.
yeah. Well,
Go
let's talk
play."
about
Oh, yeah,
oh
sorry,
my
go ahead.
no worries. Let's talk about lending because I don't think people fully understand the value of it and exactly what they're needing. So I meet a lot of buyers at my open house who will come in and they'll say, wow, what a cool house. I'm just starting my journey, but I don't even know if I can do
Right,
this. They're like, I don't
right,
even know if I can do this. And I don't know. So they're kind of unsure, but not really willing to take the steps to see if they could even buy. So I'm curious, what are the first steps that people need to do in terms of buying a home and loans?
yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting that people are this is a goal that they have. They in their minds like, "Yeah, I should own a home." But it's like, that's probably, 10 years down the road. But more often than not, if somebody's willing to have a conversation with me, I outline everything, outline the numbers, and I'm like, "Dude, you could buy a home today." Like, you've got the finances, you've got the down payment, or if not, there's a down payment assistance program that can help you. Your credit's in a good position. Like, the only thing that's stopping you is your mentality of, I can't buy a home for another 20 years or 10 years. And so, what I find more often than not is people have a false sense of this idea that homeownership is, yes, something they want to do, but yeah, maybe when they're 50. And the sooner that people get into home, they start building massive wealth. And I think it's like 80% of the most wealthy people in the US made their wealth through real estate. And the biggest thing that I see the misconception is people are thinking, hey, I've got to come up with 20%. And, in California, especially in Ventura area that you're in, the lowest price home is going to be, 420. But that's going to be scraping by to, excuse me, kind of bottom of the barrel, not something that you might want to get into. And so at 500,000, they're thinking, I need to come up with $100,000. That's insane. But what they don't realize is back in the 1940s, if we have a little history lesson, is post the World War II, and people are coming back from the war and trying to establish their lives. The government instituted different programs to allow for home buyers to get in with as little as 0% down with a USDA loan, or 3% down on a conventional loan for first-time home buyers, or 3.5% down with FHA. And so when I hear people's misconceptions and tell them that, they're like, really? I can buy a home right now with, no money out of pocket or 3%. It really opens up the door for them to see that I can make this happen. And so it's so important for us to just have an initial conversation with people, just so that they can see where their ducks are, and if they're in a row, and if not, how we can straighten them up so they are in a row, and then they can pull the trigger and start building wealth through real estate.
I love that you said that. And actually, I'm curious if you would be willing to share with our audience, what is the difference between, so if you're a first-time home buyer and you have this ability to put 3% down, for example, what is the difference between putting 3 or 5% down on a home versus putting 20% down, which everyone thinks you have to have 20%? And what are the pros and cons?
Right. Yeah. It's again so interesting that people have this conception, because it's been almost 100 years since we didn't have to do that, but it's still ingrained in us. So the difference is mortgage insurance. A lot of people call it PMI, private mortgage insurance. And so if you're putting 20% down, then you're able to not have to pay that. But mortgage insurance is so affordable these days, to where if you're putting 3% or 5%, anything less than 20% down, that sometimes it's $50 a month, or just depending on the scenario. And so a lot of people are thinking it's gonna be $1,000 a month. And it could be if you've got terrible credit and you're buying a huge home. But I haven't seen mortgage insurance more than like $250 a month. And so the ability to save on that huge down payment, get into a home, and for just a small monthly mortgage insurance,
Hmm.
and not having to come in with that down payment of 20% is really helpful. And so the difference between putting 3% or 5% down, it's going to help a little bit with your monthly payment, because your PMI, your mortgage insurance, is based off of how much you're putting down. So the more you put down, the lower that your mortgage insurance is going to be. So that's just a little rule of thumb. If anybody's really interested to see what that actually looks like, then we can look at quotes and see where that would put them as far as a monthly payment for their mortgage insurance.
I love that. And it really makes it more accessible to everybody who wants to
Right.
be a homeowner. They can
Yeah.
possibly do it. And I think the down payment is the scariest part and the most um that's what I hear a lot from buyers is the down payment. I don't have the down payment. So it's nice to know that you don't necessarily have to have 20% down to buy a home. And with our magical wizard, Kellen, you can work with them to make sure that they know what they can afford based on their desired monthly payment.
Definitely. Yeah. And a lot of people, take the step of let's go look at a house before they say, "What's my budget? What can I afford?" And so it's definitely putting the cart before the horse on that, where everybody loves to look at Zillow or Realtor.com and or go to open houses before they actually think, okay, what's this going to cost and how can I afford this? So that's
Yeah,
where we come in as a power duo, where I'm able to put those numbers together and then you help go identify those houses that can fit within their budget.
exactly. So there were a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you. So no, I already asked that one. Um, so I'm wondering what can accidentally hurt someone's mortgage after or their mortgage approval after they've already been pre-approved?
Oh, great question. Have you ever heard of a boat? It's this big thing that goes on the water, and
I've been
people
in a
think
boat.
they're yeah, you've been in a boat. So, just the biggest thing that can hurt somebody's pre-approval after they've been pre-approved is pulling out new credit. And what that does, because we've already assessed, okay, these are your current debts, this is your current income. Based off those debts and income, this is what you can qualify for. And if somebody goes out and pulls out new debt, it's like, oh snap, we gotta put that into our equation of, okay, now you have this much debt and your income is only, the same amount. So you've got to figure out, okay, your pre-approval is going to shrink by that much. And especially if somebody's already in a contract for a home, that can throw off a whole contract because maybe they don't qualify. So that's the biggest thing is taking out new debt. Don't do that.
So
Don't buy the boat.
basically, don't buy a boat.
Yeah, until you close, then go for it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is changing jobs. Like you can definitely do that as long as we have the conversation beforehand. And you, especially if you're going from like a W-2 job to maybe a 1099 job or self-employed, the ship sinks at that point, just because the qualifying measures for the different types of income uh, could change what you could qualify for and how that income is calculated. So anything that is going to be happening between the time you qualify and close on the house, definitely let's talk about it. Make sure that you're not shooting yourself in the foot.
Awesome. Thanks, Kellen. Um, let's see. So I'm curious. So when a buyer's writing an offer on well, when we're writing an offer for a buyer on a home, what can strengthen their offer without necessarily offering the highest price?
Yeah. So there's two things that really help to strengthen a buyer's offer, even if they're not the highest. The first and most solid way is what we can do is write a complete underwritten loan for the buyer so that everything has got their I's dotted, their T's crossed, and it's been through the whole gambit where we're at closing. All we need is the appraisal. And so if you have that fully underwritten loan and can provide that proof at the offer, where it becomes as strong as a cash offer because all you have to do is get that appraisal and that home's going to close. So that's the strongest thing because let's say you're going up against, some that are getting financed that may have 10 or 15 grand above you. But if you've got this certain underwritten loan that has the certainty of closing with the appraisal coming in, then that's going to be weighing a ton to your offer. So that's something that we do is we'll put together the full underwritten loan and that gives great strength. So
So Why don't
Yeah, go
more
ahead.
people do that?
Because it's a lot of legwork up front, and a lot of people just want the easy route, so they don't want to go through the hassle of the fully from the lender side. They don't want to put through a loan through the full underwritten process because it takes a lot of legwork on their end, and then it
Okay.
takes a lot of legwork on the part of the buyer to provide all the documents to go through this process without even having the home they're uh, interested in found yet. And so it's more of a lazy thing than anything else.
I see. No, I can see why that would be valuable because I mean, as an agent, I work very closely with you as the lender to make sure that our buyer can get the home. And so knowing strategies to get that buyer their dream home um, in a price that makes sense to them, where they can beat out other offers, is so valuable. Um, and that's what buyers are needing is a strong agent, myself, and a strong
Tina
lender,
Coleman.
Kellen Law, strong lender where we're going to work together, keep in communication with the buyer, but also write a strong offer that will get accepted. So that's a really good strategy. I will be using that. I will be encouraging my buyer to get that
Heck
stuff,
yeah,
get their
definitely.
fully underwritten loan
Yeah,
in the offer.
yeah. Makes it as strong as cash. So I'm always pushing for it.
So a lot of times, so I'm noticing the age range of people buying right now is most definitely 40 and up.
Hmm.
It's really hard for, I haven't come across very many people under 40 buying homes at this moment in my life. Um, but even still, with people over 40, they have student loans. And some people work for themselves or whatever. So what should people know before buying, even though they have those student loans or they're working for themselves?
Yeah. My specialty is first time home buyers and then self-employed individuals and then investors. And so with self-employed individuals, I love working with them because they've got the I don't want to say balls, but they've got the balls to be able to be running their own business and putting their livelihood in their own hands. And so what we do, we've got a million different products that help these individuals capitalize on their current income and business structure to
Hmm.
qualify for buying. And so having the right product, knowing the full scenario of someone, and then having that right product is key to help them get into a loan that has terms and conditions that are favorable for them is really important. And so the easiest way to help someone that's self-employed or maybe 1099 is if they've got the last 2 years of last 2 years of tax returns
Uh-huh.
that have been filed and that they're not writing everything off. That's not always the case. Most self-employed individuals or 1099 will write everything off. And so we have other options to do like a bank statement loan where we look at the income that you've made over the last 12 to 24 months based off your bank statements. We've got a P&L statement loan where we can get a P&L from your CPA put together to show what it is that you're currently making. We've got some no income loans where if you're putting at least 20% down, then you don't have to show any income. And
Yeah,
there's a million others.
that makes a
So
lot. I love that you mentioned that because we do work with a lot of investors and well, at least I run into investors. I haven't actually done any deals with investors because they have so many agents that they work with. And so that can be a challenge because they're looking for the right home. They'll work I've noticed, and I don't know if it's been the same with you, but I've noticed investors will work with whatever agent has the best deal. So they don't care about
Hmm.
necessarily being loyal to an agent. They just want that deal that they want. Um, but working with so on the same where is my mind going? I'm
You ha-
curious,
uh
would you be working with a CPA with someone who has student loans? Because I know that's a very big concern for people who have gone to school, um, who may be lawyers or doctors or whatever, but they have a ton of student loans. Is it harder for them to obtain a loan for a home, even though they have student loans?
Great question. The short answer is not necessarily. The way that we look at student loans is we go off of the minimum monthly payment for those student loans,
Yeah,
or if they're in deferment or the payment's zero, then we either go off of 1% or a half a percent for using that towards someone's debt to income ratio. And so let's say it's $40,000 and we can use a half a percent towards your debt to income ratio, then we're looking at uh, what is that, $200 a month that is getting counted towards your debt. So even if you've got, or let's say that same $40,000, the monthly payment's only $20.
yeah,
Different programs have different payoff terms and whatnot, but usually it's a lot less. And so the ability to get someone qualified with student loans is actually quite easy because the terms for student loans are usually a lot better than an auto loan or a credit card, which interest rates are astronomical sometimes. And
yeah.
so, like on a $40,000 car balance, maybe the payments, 1,500 bucks or $1,000 or something insane. And so you're a lot more likely to get qualified with student loans than you are with a ton of consumer debt.
Got it. That's super helpful to know. I didn't know that actually. Um, I have about two more questions for you.
Great.
The first one that came up that I haven't heard about before,
Let's see if I
is
know the answer.
that if you, okay, let's say you have money saved in your house safe, in your home safe, a ton of money, like 30,000 bucks. And there in and you need some closing costs and you decide you'd like to use that rather than pull something from your 401k. I heard that that can be construed as fraudulent payments if you transfer money from your home safe that you already made, but you just didn't put it in the bank. And if you transfer that money into the bank to use for closing costs, for example, can that be a red flag?
Definitely.
And
Great
why?
question. Cash on hand equals no bueno, no likey from the government.
That's so
So,
sad.
yeah. So the government has the Patriot Act, which basically tries to hinder any housing fraud when it comes to the financing aspect. So when there's any cash that enters your account, each program, FHA, conventional VA, USDA, will have a threshold where it's like, uh-oh, we got to throw a red flag. And it's usually going to be half of the buyer's monthly income. So
Okay.
let's say somebody makes 10 grand a month. So if there's a deposit more than half of that, so above $5,000, then it's going to throw a red flag. And the reason is because the government needs some measures to make sure that there's not just money laundering going on and people putting dirty money here and there in their bank
Yeah,
accounts and using that to make it clean money through real estate. And so the cash on hand, there's a couple ways that we try to figure out how we can use that in a clean way. The best way to do it is to know beforehand so that you can put it in the bank and let it season. And that means having it in the bank for at least a month, sometimes 2 months, so that when your bank statement comes out, it doesn't show a $30,000 deposit. That's on the previous statement.
I see.
And so for the mortgage purposes, we either need 1 month or 2 months, depending on the program, of bank statements. So it's key to get that in prior.
Hmm.
But if you're in a pinch where it's like we're under contract or they've got this 30 grand they've been planning on using, but no one had the conversation about, hey, where's your closing costs going to be coming from? And they're not wanting to pull it from the 401k. So another option is to get a gift of money from a relative or something that they could utilize towards those closing costs. Or again, they have that ability to put less than 50% of their monthly income into their bank and still be able to utilize it.
I see. So even if you've already paid taxes on that money and you're like, I'm just going to take some of the money that I made for the month, throw it in a safe, it's still considered a no-no when it comes to lending for
Definitely.
a home.
Because there's no way to show that, hey, this hard-earned money that this person made at Trader Joe's is being pulled out and set in their safe to be used and then put back in as $30,000. The government's thought, hey, that guy's, you know, doing some drug dealing and just got that 30 grand and stuck it in the bank. Because there's no clean way to show those deposits, uh, those withdrawals, and then that same amount going in
Yeah,
to the bank.
that's really good to know. I mean, I'm sure that happens all the time in California with all the fraud that's being like it
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure it happens. So I get it. Um I guess my last question for you before we go, because I know you have another meeting and I do too. What's one question you wish every buyer would ask you, but nobody does?
man. One question that I wish every buyer asked that nobody does.
Or that people don't think to ask?
Yeah, I think that they'd say, "What do you think, Kellen? What would be in our best interest to be able to finance this home, and how can we best help ourselves going forward?" Because a lot of people think of this is the monthly payment I want, or this is the home size I want, but they don't think about long term how that's going to affect them. My goal is to make sure that each of my clients are spending 30% or less of their income towards a monthly payment for their mortgage. And in doing so, they still have enough to pay for the necessities of life and also set aside money for savings for the future. And so my big goal is help people be successful in the long run. And the biggest way to do that is to make sure we structure their payments so they can live comfortably with their monthly payment and also setting themselves up for success in the future.
Nice. Um, Sorry, I do have one more question. What
Yeah,
states do you currently serve?
great question. California, Idaho, Arizona, Utah, Texas. Colorado, New Mexico, probably a couple others that I'm forgetting. Oregon.
Okay.
So mainly the West Coast and
So like
Southwest.
the Southwest and the West Coast. Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Kellen, I want to thank you so much for joining us
What a
here.
party. Yeah. What a joy.
Yeah.
Thanks for
And
having me on.
if y'all out there are looking for a lender, Kellen is your guy. He's amazing. He's going to take good care of you.
And I always tell people about Tina. She is no ego and 100% work. Most realtors are 100% ego and no work. So if you're looking for someone that can really help make a difference in your home buying, Tina's your gal. Thanks for having me on, Tina. Appreciate it.
Bye, Kellen.
See ya. Have a good one.